Hello, welcome to IDD Talks. My name is Anastasia Laurina, and today we have a guest joining me now from Italy, Alessandro Viviani, Associate Partner, the European House, Ambrosetti. Warm welcome to our program.
Thank you all for inviting me for this interview. Really a pleasure.
Thank you so much. Highly appreciating your time and your agreement to join the discussion. We'll talk about the cooperation between Italy and Azerbaijan. The partnership is developing in all possible ways, touching political, economic cooperation, partnership in education, and many other spheres as well. Delegation led by the Minister of Defense of the Republic of Italy visited Azerbaijan on June 26. There were some official meetings between the Ministers of Defense and also with the President of the Republic of Azerbaijan, Ilham Aliyev. Let me start our discussion with the importance of this visit and how it will benefit the future cooperation between two countries.
Let me start with some background information regarding the currently defense scenario for Europe. Of course, we need to take into account that we are going through a new, global order in which it is not really clear what will be the role of the different clusters of countries and what will be the issues for Europe ahead. Of course, there would be some question mark regarding what is going on with the election, both what happened in Europe and both what will happen in other countries like United States in the coming months. What is for sure is that in the coming years, Europe needs to rise its role as a geopolitical powerhouse. It needs to rise its role as a military powerhouse in order to defend its own interests. Of course, this means that it has to understand on how to create a stronger relationship with key partners, with key strategic supplier, industrial partners, energy partner, and so on and so forth. That's for sure. That is something that Europe needs to do by itself. So this is my first point, and of course, even take into account for Italy, the very strong relationship between Italy and Azerbaijan that, as was judged by your president, is excellent. I think that the relationship about a geopolitical issue needs to be built on a stronger, even closer relationship, even under the defense and military point of view. Of course, when we talk about military and defense, we need to take into account what is going on in terms of technology development. More and more, the investment in defense and technologies need to look outside what is the historical industrial partner of defense, and we need to start looking what is going on in the digital ICT and automation industrial world. Of course, this means that on one side, defense industry needs to evolve. On the other side, that this means that the defense industry needs to collaborate more and more with other private partners. That means that we need to take into account of other kind of geopolitical issues related to the access to digital and ICT technologies. Of course, in Italy we have Leonardo. Leonardo is one of the main European defense companies. Is on our point of view one of the key industries, one of the key companies which we need to look in order to continue to invest in this direction. I know that the president of Leonardo is there in Azerbaijan. I think that even under this point of view, there should be a collaboration that continue to going on in this direction.
Right. You said about energy cooperation. In 2023, Italy became the leader among European countries in terms of oil and gas imports from Azerbaijan. What opportunities are there for developing energy partnership in the future between Italy and Azerbaijan?
Even in this case, a little bit of background. As the European House Ambrosetti have been the first in Europe speaking about a new paradigm of decarbonization that need to take place in Europe. And we explained this with the principle of technology neutrality that we created more than 5 years ago, and we spread it in Europe with our think tank activities. Of course, what does it mean, technology neutrality? It means that we need to acknowledge that decarbonization is not a leapfrog. It is not something that could happen from day to night. It is something that need to take into account that we need a path of going from, let me say, the black to the white with a lot of grayscale in the middle. In this case, we need to take into account of the role of the most mature technology, even for decarbonization, and we need to take into account that fossil fuel will continue to have a role. This is not neglecting the fact that we need to step out from fossil fuel in the future. It's taken into account that fossil fuel can be used with a more clever and more sustainable way in the future. I just provide you an example. We have run together with ENI a research on the role of carbon capture and storage in Europe, and of course we highlighted the importance that this kind of technology could have in continuing to provide to European countries as I can call a continual access to secure, reliable, and competitive energies that for the time being can be only provided through gas and with some renewable, but that is currently available only on a minor share of especially the thermal industrial consumption. In this case, CCS clearly demonstrated as it has a clear enabling role in order to continue to put together sustainable transition on one side and industrial competitiveness. So I think that compared to what's happened in the last COP28, even taking into account what was the discussion that we had together with you in Baku a few weeks ago, we need to foster the dialogue about the role of fossil fuel. Of course, besides fossil fuels, there are a lot of other technologies that are going ahead together with renewable, together with storage, together with electrification. I'm speaking about biofuels, especially Italy has a lot of investment, a lot of focus in this, is trying to have a role in Europe in order to, and even at the world level, in order to foster the value chains for this. What I would like to stress is the fact that we need to move from a world that is dominated by the commodity trade in a world that need to be dominated by a reshaping of industrial value chains. And in this, what even during my stay in Baku a few weeks ago, I highlighted several times, is that we need to focus on what role Azerbaijan want to have in the redefinition of future sustainable industrial value chains. And in this, I think that there could be space for collaboration between Italy and Azerbaijan in order to provide decarbonization levers that are secure, that are available, that are competitive, in order to reshape together the complete value chains in different industrial sectors, from, let me say, what could move from the chemical and from the refining, especially taking into account the competences that in Azerbaijan are there, other kind of value chains in which the access to different kind of renewable, to carbon capture and storage are crucial, and so on and so forth. But let me say, we need not only to take into account about the commodity, we not only to take into account about the percentage of CO2 that is reduced in Europe or in Azerbaijan, we need to take into account on how our industries are able to leverage on the decarbonization pathways in order to increase their competitiveness. And in this, of course, there is a matter of global competitiveness. And I think that Azerbaijan, Italy, and Europe can join forces in order to work together on new industrial value chains together.
Of course, talking about energy cooperation, we cannot exclude the questions about partnership in green energy transition process or renewables. And there is a real perspective for two countries, Italy and Azerbaijan, to work together, especially because Italy and Azerbaijan are partnering in the preparatory process for COP29. During the visit of official delegation on June 26, the president of the Republic of Azerbaijan, Ilham Aliyev, underscored that the two countries maintain close contact regarding preparations for COP29 to be held in Baku in November 2024. How can Azerbaijan and Italy cooperate in this matter?
First of all, we need to take into account that Europe needs to start investing in decarbonization even outside its own border. It's a matter of build new value chains, as I said before. Otherwise, it will be a loss for Europe of competitiveness, a loss of employees, companies, and so on and so forth. This is my first point. The second point, we need to work together on a global approach to carbon management. Certification, way to certificate negative emissions, way to certificate how a reduction of CO2 in one part of the world can be used to increase the sustainability of the overall industrial activities. This is the second point. The third point is start working to build together new value chains for decarbonized products. On one side, as we said, we have hydrogen, we have biofuels that need to, that for sure will reshape what are the current balance of the commodity trade all over the world, and are new, completely new value chains that need to be created from scratch. We need regulation, we need partnership, we need public investment in this, we need to have a stable relationship. And this is part, I think, of the work that need to be done at the COP29. Apart from this, my main point is to clearly state the need of technology neutrality. We do not have to have the COP29 or any other kind of political agreement that will state what is the technology that we need to leverage or not. We need to provide to the market the incentive to reduce the CO2. The only way in which policy need to regulate is to provide incentives to the most important companies, the most virtuous companies that are able to reduce CO2. On the other side, Europe is stating a new regulation about the carbon price. I'm referring to emission trading system, to the carbon border adjustment mechanism that, of course, has a role in defining the new possibility to leverage on the European market on one side. But of course, even coming back to the principle to start working together on new industrial value chains, I think that this could be could take into account about different relationship and different ways of collaboration between Europe and other countries. It does not to be a principle that is the same for everybody. It needs to take into account about of the efforts and the collaboration of everybody in providing to Europe. On one side, other countries provide to Europe access to renewable energy, decarbonization levers. On the other side, Europe help other countries in developing and integrating in new industrial value chain with high value-added production. So, of course, it is a change of paradigms. Even taking into account what was done in the previous COP in other countries, and I think that in this case, Italy and Azerbaijan could have a significant alignment in their vision. Of course, even as the European Ambrosetti, together even with you and others, we are more than available to start working together on how to help this process to provide contents, figure, highlights to the COP29 works.
Thank you. Thank you for being with us today.
Thank you a lot to everybody of you. Have a very proficient work there in Baku.